So we open on these massive, super important doors being guarded by 4 knights. One of them is already slacking off, getting an earful from his buddy to stay focused. This guy just smirks back, totally confident that whatever's inside is staying put, a classic jinx. And right on cue, a massive tremor rocks the whole chamber, shattering the stone around them. They are all sent flying, screaming about what the hell is going on as chaos erupts. A sudden, horrifying thought hits one of the guards, his eyes wide with pure dread, because through the rubble he sees a hand pushing its way out of the seal. This Demon King's seal is shattering and its ancient prisoner is officially breaking free. Panicked, the lead guard orders his men to go report this to the hero immediately. His subordinate just freezes in fear, barely able to process the command, the hero. But a voice from the dust scoffs at the very idea, calling the hero a complete joke. This time the voice promises there will be no mercy, only death, and we see the source of that voice, a figure absolutely consumed by pure, unadulterated rage. This story flashes back 30 years to the Demon King Daras, who once ruled a nation of monsters. Humans and demi-humans tried to fight back, but they were no match for his overwhelming power. In that hopeless time, the kingdom's strongest knight, the hero Calcigo, rose to the challenge. He and his party, a classic adventuring crew, stood ready to face the darkness together. After a brutal fight, they actually managed to seal the Demon King away in a crystal prison. But now that hard-won piece is over, because last night the Demon King broke that very seal. With panic spreading through the kingdom, the hero had to make a public announcement. Calcigo gives a big speech, assuring the terrified crowd that the Demon King is weak now. He personally vows that he, the great hero, will be the one to defeat Daras this time around. To back this up, the kingdom plasters wanted posters everywhere asking for any information. Meanwhile, a young horned girl is checking out one of the posters, focusing on his facial features. But her copy is conveniently ripped right where the face should be, of course it is. She looks genuinely bummed out, her expression falling as she stares at the torn paper. This triggers a quick flashback to the hero Calcigo looking beaten and desperate. A sudden shout yanks her right back to the present, her eyes wide with surprise. Her boss is yelling at her for daydreaming, so she quickly apologizes and gets back to work. Turns out she is working a grueling manual labor job in some kind of massive quarry. We see her pushing a heavy wheelbarrow full of rocks, just trying to get through the day. Then a sudden cracking sound makes her stop dead in her tracks, looking up nervously. Her wheelbarrow hits a loose rock on the path and the whole thing starts to tip over, sending an entire cartload of massive stones tumbling right down on top of her. She looks up in pure panic, realizing the cart is about to crush her flat. In that split second, she is absolutely terrified, convinced she is about to die. But a sharp glint from an unseen observer's eye hints that someone is watching. She braces for the end, but nothing happens, the rocks just stop falling. All the stones are just frozen in midair around her as a new person steps into view. She just stares, completely baffled, as the laws of physics take a coffee break. This person who saved her is a small, hooded kid holding the entire cart up with one hand. Our horned girl is understandably having a complete meltdown at this impossible sight. From under his hood, the kid just calmly asks if she is okay, real casual about it. She cannot believe a child is doing this, and he just mumbles that he is fine. With his hand still pressed against the wood, he says he is about to let go. Then he suddenly starts screaming at her to get away because his magic is failing. Wasting zero time, she scoops him up and dives for safety as the cart finally crashes down. They both collapse on the ground, completely gassed but thankfully not turned into pancakes. This horned girl breathes a huge sigh of relief, just grateful to be alive. Meanwhile, the kid is muttering about being too weak and needing a sword, which she overhears. He gets to his feet and turns to face her with a surprisingly intense look for a child. Her reaction is not fear, but instant adoration. She thinks he is cute and introduces herself as Raimai. Raimai thanks him for the save, patting his head like a lost puppy for being so good at magic. And he immediately slaps her hand away. Guess he is not a fan of the condescending head pats. He starts walking off, grumbling about his body being useless without a weapon, leaving Raimai baffled. She calls after him, worried that a human kid is wandering around this dangerous place all alone. This kid just casually drops that the Demon King has been revived, as if discussing the weather. Raimai asks if he heard about it from the news, still trying to process everything. He then adds that the hero is apparently searching for him, which is a very interesting detail. A close-up on his eye reveals a look that is way too old and intense for a kid. Oh boy, he asks her why the hero looks so young, and Raimai is just totally lost. Our boy explains that 30 years ago, the hero was an old dude, so what is with the makeover? She cheerfully says the hero uses magic to stay young, which makes the kid look physically ill. He calls it some kind of creepy, forbidden art, shivering in pure disgust, not a fan clearly. But their very serious discussion gets cut short by a massive stomach growl. Hearing that, Raimai's face lights up as she gets a sudden, brilliant idea. She whips out an apple and shoves it in his face, asking if he is hungry. He takes it and she just assumes he must have been absolutely starving out here alone. This kid stares at the apple like it personally offended him, grumbling that he hates them. After taking a bite, Raimai calls him picky, but he just keeps chewing with a pained look. Then he spits it all out in a massive spray, absolutely disgusted by the taste. He yells that the apple is half rotten and she just apologizes for her low-quality rations. This makes him ask if she is a worker at this quarry since the food is so awful. She just laughs it off, saying she does not really get to choose where she works. This kid is completely baffled by that answer, asking her why that would be the case. Suddenly, he grabs her from behind, turning her around with a serious expression. He pulls down her strap, revealing a back just covered in deep, brutal scars. Stunned, he points out that some of the whip marks are still fresh wounds. Raymai just smiles and casually explains that they are just scars from her punishments. Our boy is left completely speechless, trying to process what she just said, punishments. Raymai just smiles and explains that it is because she is a slave, pointing to the collar. Our boy is completely stunned, barely able to process what she just casually admitted. He starts yelling that slavery is supposed to be illegal under international law. What is she talking about? Apparently there is a rule that classifies demi-humans as subhuman, a law he never knew existed. Furious, he demands to know what kind of backwards country would ever approve such a thing. Her answer is a gut punch. The hero was the one who started it all. This triggers a flashback to the hero Calcigo standing with his knights, looking very self-righteous. In this memory, he is surrounded by the bodies of demi-humans and his own men are questioning him. Calcigo claims they all defected to the Demon King's side and tried to kill him first. One of his soldiers is just completely horrified, unable to believe what he is hearing. With a bloody sword, Calcigo declares that he has finally realized demi-humans are the true enemy of mankind. A dying elf conveniently confesses that her people's long lives made them arrogant and hateful of humans. Another soldier chimes in, insisting the demi-humans were secretly planning to dominate them all. Calcigo then launches into a full-blown hate speech, calling on humans to deliver justice to them. Back in the present, our boy is just vibrating with pure, unadulterated rage at this revelation. Raymai explains that after this law passed, demi-human hunts began and her village was destroyed. He is completely baffled, asking her why the demi-humans are just taking it. This kid cannot understand why they are not fighting back against the hero and his followers. She tells him they tried to resist, but it was completely hopeless from the start. Then she suddenly apologizes, realizing she just dumped all this trauma on a random child. Raymai asks with a heartbreaking smile if she was just supposed to accept death back there. She confesses that when the cart started to fall, she did not even think to run. In that moment, she was just going to let it happen, to be crushed completely. Our boy's hand clenches into a fist, his whole body shaking with rage at her resignation. He demands to know why humans blindly follow the hero and persecute an entire race. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he declares that their entire way of thinking is wrong. His eyes are just wide with the sheer, unadulterated injustice of it all. A montage of suffering flashes by: her collar, the abuse, the slaughter. It is all so broken. Suddenly, Raymai just collapses into a hug, completely overwhelmed by his righteous anger for her. This kid is totally caught off guard, just staring as she holds onto him. She starts sobbing, agreeing with him that everything is just so wrong. Crying her heart out, she asks what they did to deserve being treated like this. He is just completely flustered, muttering her name. Emotional support is not in his skill set, apparently. Then she reveals the gut-wrenching twist. The hero actually saved her life once. In a flashback, we see a much younger Raymai about to be gored by a massive forest boar. And just in time, the hero Calcigo swoops in, taking the monster down in one clean hit. She tearfully explains she could never forget the back of the man who saved her life. So even after everything he did, she could never truly bring herself to hate him. Now though, she just cries that the memory is too painful to bear. Our boy just listens, his expression hardening as a new, terrifying resolve settles in his eyes. Raymai quickly pulls back, apologizing for the sudden emotional breakdown. Whoops. She tells him that he, a human, got angry for her while the hero just abandoned her people. With tears still streaming, she says his righteous anger gave her hope for the first time in ages. Our boy is just frozen, clearly not equipped to be anyone's emotional support animal. He starts to stammer her name, completely out of his depth with this whole feelings thing, when suddenly a massive jolt of electricity courses through Raymai's body, cutting him off. His face is pure shock, having absolutely no clue what just happened. Raymai just screams in agony as that slave collar around her neck starts glowing ominously. He rushes to her side as she collapses, frantically asking what is wrong. She can only writhe on the ground, completely incapacitated by the magical punishment. Our boy's eyes snap to the collar, realizing with horror that it is the source of her pain. A glowing magical seal on her back confirms his fears. Only the caster can remove this thing. Right on cue, her boss and a couple of his goons show up, asking who dropped the cart. This foreman points a finger, revealing he is the one torturing her for daring to leave her post. He overhears the foreman declaring that she needs an even harsher punishment for her transgression. And that is the last straw. Our boy absolutely explodes, demanding they stop this inhuman torture. His guards are just baffled, wondering what this random, screaming kid is yelling about. But the foreman squints, noticing something familiar about the kid's face. One of the goons pulls out a wanted poster, and the white hair and eyes are a dead ringer. And the poster's face is none other than the Demon King Dara's. Well, the secret's out. Dara's face is pure unadulterated rage as he glares at the foreman. His eyes then go wide, completely thrown by their reaction to the poster. His goons are confused, saying he is just a kid, but the news did mention the Demon King was weakened. From the ground, Raymai can only stare in utter disbelief at this insane revelation. She struggles to connect the dots. This little kid is the actual Demon King. And Dara's just confirms it, saying their assessment is absolutely correct, no hesitation. Raymai's brain completely short-circuits trying to process this impossible truth. This sends the guards into a full-blown panic, screaming to call the knights immediately. But Darius gets their attention with a chillingly calm, "Hey, you humans," making the foreman freeze. Standing protectively over Raimai, he asks if they heard him, his voice dripping with menace. He then points to her neck, demanding they remove the slave collar right now. This foreman just smirks, a nasty little spark of an idea forming in his head. He flat out refuses, saying she is their property and they can do whatever they want with her. Darius's glare somehow gets even more intense, which you'd think was impossible. One of the goons mocks him, saying a real demon king could just pop that collar off instantly. This foreman's grin widens. If Darius cannot do it, it just proves how weak he really is. A close-up on Darius's eyes shows the foreman hit a nerve. He has been completely found out. This guards start connecting dots, assuming Raimai must be a traitor who freed him. Panicked, Raimai desperately denies it, swearing she had nothing to do with any of this. This foreman just gives her a slimy smile and tells her to prove it. Then what a creep. This foreman gives Raimai a horrifying new order: prove her loyalty by killing the demon king. Our boy is completely blindsided, sweating bullets at this insane command. With a smug grin, the foreman taunts her, saying a weak little kid like Darius should be easy prey. She is absolutely horrified, stammering that there is no way she could ever do something like that. And for her defiance, the collar zaps her with another brutal jolt of electricity. Darius can only scream her name as she collapses in agony all over again. His ultimatum is simple: if she will not kill him, she is an accomplice and will be punished. Holding the trigger, he smirks that he will just have to dispose of her instead. What a psycho. Raimai just grits her teeth on the ground, muttering that this is all completely insane. Our boy is just seething, clenching his fist in pure, powerless rage. Suddenly, the guards are startled as Darius finally makes his move. He throws his hand out, trying to summon some kind of magic to stop them. But he is straining, and it is clear his powers are just not working right now. This just makes the foreman's disgusting little smirk grow even wider. He bursts out laughing, mocking the great demon king for being so utterly pathetic and weak. Darius can only bite his lip in frustration, hating how powerless he is in this moment. Not done yet, the foreman screams at Raimai to get up and kill the kid already. He then kicks dirt at her, asking if she'd rather just die right here instead. Looking down, Darius is desperately trying to think of something, anything he can do. His eyes narrow with resolve, searching for any possible way out of this nightmare. From the ground, Raimai grabs his leg, desperately telling him to run away and save himself. Darius just stares as she tells him it does not matter if he is the demon king. He is the one who gave her hope, and because of that, she refuses to let him die here. Meanwhile, the foreman is just monologuing about how the hero was right to protect them from monsters. Raimai absolutely snaps back, screaming what kind of hero would make a world like this. This foreman just sneers that trampling on demi-human dignity is more important than humans. But she finishes her thought, declaring Darius is more of a hero than Calcigo ever was. Looking right at our boy, she says she wants to believe in the person who saved her life. So she stands up, shielding Darius, declaring that even if she dies, she will follow her own justice. This foreman is completely unimpressed, just holding up the trigger with a board. Is that so? Darius screams for him to stop, knowing exactly what is coming next. And the collar lights up again, sending a brutal, agonizing shock right through her body. He can only watch in horror, screaming her name as she gets tortured for protecting him. With a disgusting grin, the foreman says if that is her choice, he will just have to kill her. Darius rushes to her side as she collapses, desperately trying to get her to respond. He is completely panicked, seeing her barely conscious and writhing in pain on the ground. Checking her pulse, he realizes she is alive, but one more shock will definitely be the end. In the background, the goons casually discuss how if she dies, they can just buy another one. They even start planning their next purchase, maybe a dwarf this time since they are cheap and strong, and the foreman just laughs it off, calling her a waste but not really caring at all. As Darius holds her, Raimai whispers that female slaves are cheap and easily replaced. He can only ask why, completely gutted by her absolute resignation to this nightmare. In a desperate rage, he grabs the collar himself, getting zapped as he tries to rip it off her neck. This foreman just cackles, mocking how a demon king cannot even break a simple magical seal. Darius is just screaming internally, absolutely losing his mind at his own powerlessness. He yells at them, demanding to know what they stole from her to make her so utterly broken. With every ounce of his being, he pours whatever he has left into that collar, trying to shatter it. And suddenly, his eyes go wide as something finally starts to give way. This gets the foreman's attention, who looks over with a confused huh. He sees Darius over Raimai's unconscious body and smugly asks if her spirit is finally broken. One of the goons suggests just killing Darius, but the foreman says the knights will handle it soon enough. But Darius slowly rises to his feet, standing over Raimai with a terrifying new resolve. These goons are completely stunned, clearly not expecting the kid to get back up. He looks them dead in the eye and declares with chilling calm, "Now it is my turn," and the foreman's face is just a perfect picture of pure, unadulterated panic. He starts laughing nervously, trying to convince himself it is impossible for the Demon King to use magic. Darius just calmly agrees with him, saying that is absolutely right. He then laments that he really should have learned more magic instead of just focusing on his sword skills. If he had, he could have ended Raimai's suffering without her feeling any more pain. One of the goons is confused, pointing out that his body is incompatible with magic anyway. A sword is his only weapon. Darius touches the collar, instantly understanding its magic and how to return the favor. With a terrifying look, he declares he is going to make them feel all of Raimai's pain. This sends the foreman and his goon into a state of absolute bug-eyed terror. Our boy then goes on a tirade about how the hero's words led to this suffering. He coldly asks them just how many people they have tortured and killed like this, promising they will feel the exact same agony their victims did, starting with Reimai's. His hand crackles with stolen energy as he unleashes the collar's curse right back at them. In the distance, the two scumbags are just getting absolutely fried by their own magic. After the blast, Daraz is clearly winded, breathing hard from the effort. This foreman and his buddy are just twitching on the ground, completely stunned by the reversal. But the goon gets cocky, yelling that he is just bluffing and cannot possibly do that again. A simple gesture from Daraz calls them idiots for underestimating him. His next words are chillingly simple: just look up. Their faces go from smug to sheer horror as they see a massive storm of lightning gathering above them. This kid stands there, the conductor of their destruction, as the heavens open up. His eyes glow with immense power as the lightning strike makes contact, and the foreman and his goon are just completely vaporized in the blast, no more monologuing for them. At the same time, the slave collar around Reimai's neck finally shatters into pieces. He stands over her as the light fades, the threat finally over. But just as the dust settles, a familiar caped figure appears. It is the hero, Calcigo. Reimai still on the ground, looking up in total shock at the newcomer. It is the hero, Calcigo. Calcigo just looks down, a distant memory clearly playing in his mind. He is remembering a little demon girl who once gave him an apple as a thank you. With a faint smile, he says that apple was actually pretty good. This revelation leaves Reimai completely stunned, staring up at the man she just met. A tear starts to well up, the emotional whiplash finally catching up to her. Daraz, however, is completely lost, asking Calcigo why he looks like that. This hero begins his story, saying this whole mess started 3 decades ago. In a flashback, we see him as the original hero, having finally cornered the Demon King Daraz. He was literally one move away from sealing the guy forever. But in a last-ditch move, the Demon King swapped their souls right then and there. Our boy's eyes go wide, the impossible truth of what happened finally hitting him. So Calcigo was sealed in the Demon King's body, while the real Daraz has been parading around as the hero. It took him 30 long years to break that seal, only to find the world in this state. Utterly broken, Daraz falls to his knees, just apologizing to Reimai for all of this. Reimai quickly tells him that none of this is on him, not even a little bit. He insists the real villain is the Demon King who stole the hero's body and tricked everyone. Internally, though, Reimai admits to herself that she is actually feeling a sense of relief. She thinks back to the hero who saved her life, realizing it was Daraz all along. Touching her neck, she confesses she refused to believe her own country could be so corrupt. Reimai, crying with relief, thanks Daraz for being her hope and calls him a true hero. Our boy just looks down, a heavy and profound resolve settling in his eyes. He quietly makes a promise to Reimai to take back everything she has lost. Her home, her family, her friends, and her pride, all of it was stolen from her, and he is vowing to get every single piece of it back. With a look of pure determination, he swears to her that he absolutely will. Meanwhile, a messenger crow is squawking for the hero, and not the one we like. It is reporting to the fake hero that the Demon King has been spotted in a kid's body. This imposter just smirks, hearing the news that this kid used some seriously powerful magic. Sitting on his throne, the real Daraz mocks how well Calcigo is handling his stolen body. What a creep. He then scoffs that it is a real pity it took the true hero 30 years just to break the seal. In that time, though, he has also gotten a whole lot stronger himself. Back in the forest, our boy declares he's going to get stronger for Reimai's sake. This fake hero, the real Daraz, has a plan to deal with Calcigo, and our boy, the real Calcigo, is getting ready to take down the Demon King Daraz. With a completely unhinged grin, the villain vows to kill him for real this time. But our boy looks just as ready to return the favor, his eyes glowing with power. Elsewhere, a group of knights spots the lingering magic from the fight, wondering if it is the Demon King. One of them nervously asks his commander for orders, pointing towards the forest. This commander just grunts, clearly considering his next move. This messenger kid is frantically confirming to the knights that yes, the Demon King is in a kid's body. He points out the lingering magic from the fight, warning that getting close is a bad idea. This messenger adds that a demi-human girl was with him, and the Demon King apparently broke her slave collar. With a smug little grin, the commander says he understands the situation perfectly. His brilliant plan is to go confirm the friendship between the Demon King and a demi-human real subtle. By confirm, he apparently means holding a knife to some poor, injured demi-human he has already captured. Back with our crew, Calcigo hands Reimai a sword, telling her to take it since it is better than nothing. She is completely baffled by his long name, leaving Calcigo totally flustered by the question. Reimai then asks the million-dollar question, okay, so how exactly are they going to defeat the Demon King? Our boy seems to have a different idea in mind, looking off thoughtfully. He declares that before anything else, they are going back to free the other demi-humans at the mine. Reimai immediately shoots that down, arguing it is impossible since the humans in charge can just zap them. Calcigo just asks who they are, and Reimai realizes she actually has no idea. Great intel. Her best guess is the district commander, some guy named Gilbard. Apparently, he is the royal knight in charge of this whole miserable district. She warns Calcigo that this commander despises demi-humans and will kill anyone who tries to remove a collar. He tells her that if he gets the collars off, she needs to grab the others and just run for it. With a little smirk, he thanks her for everything, promising they will meet again when he is back in his real body. His eyes are just burning with this absolute, unwavering resolve. It finally clicks for Reimai that he is planning on going in completely alone as he walks away. Reimai panics, screaming that it is way too dangerous for him to go alone. Grabbing his shirt, she desperately insists that she is coming with him. Kalsigo's gaze does not waver, his eyes filled with a grim, painful resolve. This triggers a painful memory seen through the lens of shattered glass. He is remembering his original party, all battered and bloodied after a devastating battle. His elven companion is just frozen in sheer terror, her face a mask of horror. This memory is of them being completely overwhelmed, cut down by a vicious, dark attack. And the vision culminates in a silent scream of pure, unadulterated agony. Snapping back to the present, he gently pushes her hand away. Reimai is just stunned, barely managing to whisper his name in disbelief. Without turning, he tells her to stay put, admitting he cannot promise to protect her. Her face falls as she realizes he is right, she'd just be a burden. But this triggers another memory of her as a child reaching out for someone. A painful flashback to being left behind, watching another person walk out of her life. A sudden scream from the forest shatters the moment, making them both jump. They both whip around, wondering what the hell that sound was. Reimai's face drains of all color, she recognizes the voice of a man from the mine. Kalsigo's expression instantly hardens into cold, murderous fury. A bloody knife appears as a voice sneers for the Demon King to come out. And it is that scumbag Commander, Gilbard, grinning over his hostage and loving every second of it. Commander Gilbard smirks, just radiating that I am the worst energy. He openly taunts our boy, asking if the Demon King is really coming to save these guys. This knights are told to stay on guard, using the captured demi-humans as the perfect bait. Watching from afar, Kalsigo's expression is just pure, simmering rage. One of the hostages desperately pleads their innocence, begging for the others to be freed. And Gilbard's response is to just raise his sword for an execution, so much for due process. This other captives can only watch in absolute horror, completely powerless. This commander then starts monologuing, accusing the demi-humans of teaming up with the Demon King to take over. Of course, the hostage frantically denies it, screaming that is not true at all. With a nasty grin, Gilbard just zaps him with the collar for disagreeing, real mature. He continues his little speech, claiming he knows all about how demi-humans betrayed innocent people. Hiding behind some barrels, Kalsigo and Reimai overhear Gilbard's whole "you are monsters" speech. Reimai confirms that yeah, the guy with the incredibly punchable face is indeed Commander Gilbard. Kalsigo grits his teeth, realizing they walked right into a pre-prepared ambush. Panicking, Reimai asks if he can just nuke them with that crazy powerful magic from before. But our boy has to break the bad news. He is running on fumes after that last light show. He adds that the knights are using the hostages as shields specifically to stop any big spells. Looking at the grim situation, they both know a direct magical assault is completely off the table. Kalsigo considers his options, realizing he has only got lightning and reinforcement magic left in the tank. He explains reinforcement magic boosts physical power, flashing back to when he used it to lift a heavy cart. He admits that while he knows the hero's magic, this kid's body just cannot handle the output. Reimai immediately points out that using reinforcement on a knife against that many knights is suicide. Feeling completely useless, she apologizes, wishing she could actually fight and help him. Kalsigo quickly comforts her, telling her not to put herself down like that. But this just triggers a painful memory of the last time she felt this powerless. A flashback to the day the demi-human hunts began in her village. Her mother is telling a young Reimai to run while she stays behind to hold off the attackers. Little Reimai desperately clings to her, screaming that she wants to stay and fight too. With a sad smile, her mother's last request is simply for her to live. Watching her mom walk away to certain doom, Reimai is crushed by her own weakness. Snapping back to the present, she grabs Kalsigo's shirt with a new resolve. She asks if there is any way she can help, even with her tiny amount of magic. A new plan forming, Kalsigo asks her to lend him her power for a huge gamble. Her eyes widen, a spark of hope igniting as she realizes she can do something. With a quiet hum, their plan officially kicks into gear. Back with the bad guys, Gilbard's knights confirm the target has not escaped and is likely hiding. So this psycho decides to start executing the hostages one by one to lure him out. Great leadership. A knight raises his sword over a terrified demi-human, ready to strike. As the hostage screams for him to stop, the blade comes swinging down, and Kalsigo appears in a flash, blocking the execution with his own sword. Gilbard just laughs, seeing the so-called Demon King is actually just a little kid. But Kalsigo is already in motion, a blur of speed as the knights call him out. He closes the distance in an instant, kicking up a storm of dust and debris. This first knight gets a reinforced fist right to the helmet that is gonna leave a mark. Ducking under a sword, Kalsigo weaves through their formation like a seasoned pro. He even blocks a blade with his bare arm, the reinforcement magic holding strong. Gilbard smirks, noticing Kalsigo is not using any flashy spells and thinking this is his big chance. Our boy just keeps moving, his expression locked in intense focus. And it dawns on Gilbard, maybe the kid's completely out of juice after that last fight. With a smug grin, he orders all his men to surround Kalsigo and finish him off. His knights eagerly comply, moving in to form a tight circle around their target. Kalsigo stands his ground, completely boxed in by armored soldiers with his knife at the ready. This commander is just oozing confidence, thinking about how proud his mommy's gonna be, yikes. But Calcigo's hand starts to glow as he channels that reinforcement magic again. In a burst of power, he launches himself straight up the side of a cliff wall. Gilbard scoffs at the jump, thinking it is a pointless move, completely missing the real play. From his new vantage point, Calcigo unleashes a torrent of water. This commander's face drops in total disbelief, realizing where that water is coming from. Because hidden behind some barrels, Reimai is channeling her own magic. It was a team-up. With all her strength, she sends a massive barrel of water rolling right into the ambush. Calcigo quickly lays out the plan. He will draw the knights in and she will douse them with water. He explains the brilliant science: water conducts lightning, making his last bit of magic super effective. With the trap set, Calcigo unleashes the water, turning the battlefield into a giant puddle. Then he leaps into the air, dropping a massive lightning spell right on top of the soaked knights. Their metal armor basically becomes a lightning rod, a truly shocking development for them. This other demi-human hostages just stare, completely floored by this sudden turn of events, and Reimai is absolutely beaming, cheering that their insane gamble actually paid off. Calcigo lands like a pro between two smoking heaps of armor, the last man standing, but his victory is cut short as he senses another attack coming out of nowhere. A massive rock projectile smashes into the ground right beside him with explosive force. He gets thrown back by the shrapnel, the kid's body taking a serious beating. Reimai can only scream his name in terror as the blast rips through the area. From a newly blasted hole in the cliff, a voice mockingly says, "Too bad," and it is Gilbard emerging with a smug grin, pointing out that rocks do not conduct electricity. Reimai's face just falls, realizing their one big trick is completely useless against this guy. She rushes to Calcigo's side, cursing the fact that the commander is an earth magic user. Calcigo grits his teeth, admitting he only survived by using reinforcement magic to block the worst of it. Looking up at the cliffside, Reimai seems to be having a very bad thought about their odds. Gilbard goes right back to monologuing, calling Calcigo a weak little kid whose fate is sealed. With our boy clearly on his last legs, the commander smugly tells him to just surrender. Gilbard's smug grin widens as he continues his villainous monologue, just loving the sound of his own voice. To really drive his point home, he skewers one of the hostages on a massive earth spike. This poor guy can only scream in agony as the attack brutally ends his life. All the other captives just watch in absolute gut-wrenching terror, completely helpless. With a sneer, the commander taunts Calcigo to hurry up before the body count starts to climb. Reimai is just horrified, barely able to whisper our boy's name in disbelief. On the ground, Calcigo tells her to run and claim he is the Demon King if she gets caught. She is completely stunned, asking what he means by losing their gamble. He admits it, he has got absolutely nothing left in the tank, completely out of magic. Desperately, she insists he cannot give up, that he has to get his real body back. Calcigo promises he will not be killed easily and will escape once his power returns. Then he gives her a sad smile with one final request: for her to live. Reimai is just frozen, her eyes wide with shock and a dawning sense of dread. Her old trauma resurfaces, wondering if she's going to be useless and left behind again. Getting bored of the drama, Gilbard just yells at them to get on with it already. Calcigo turns to walk away, ready to sacrifice himself to save her. As he leaves, Reimai is lost in thought, questioning everything that is happening. But in a sudden burst of resolve, she grabs his arm, stopping him in his tracks. He looks back, surprised, as she calls out his name with a new fire in her eyes. With tears streaming down her face, she tells him to bet on her instead. This remaining hostages are just paralyzed with fear, knowing they are next on the chopping block. But suddenly another knight steps onto the scene, calmly surveying the absolute mess. His expression is all business, giving off a way more competent vibe than his psycho commander. Calcigo immediately squares up against him, ready for another round he definitely cannot afford. He lunges forward with what is left of his knife, putting everything into a desperate charge, and the new guy just casually parries, completely shattering the blade with zero effort. With the hilt clattering to the ground, the knight seems to be wondering if that was a joke. But then his eyes widen in shock as he realizes that was not the real attack, because Reimai comes flying in from the side, screaming that she is the one he should be targeting. Gilbard just cackles, smugly reminding her about that little shock collar she is still wearing. A second later, he zaps her, sending a brutal jolt of magic right through her body. Yet even through the agony, she plants her feet, refusing to be taken down by some cheap trick. With a furious roar, she pushes through the pain, still winding up for a punch. This new knight is completely stunned, demanding to know why she has not collapsed yet. Her eyes are just blazing with pure resolve as she repeats her earlier plea to Calcigo. She tells our boy that she is the one who is going to take this guy down, leaving him speechless. Calcigo is obviously confused, but she insists she learned some basic fighting in her village. He frantically explains that her skill is not the problem, the collar will just keep activating. So she proposes a new plan: use reinforcement magic on her to block the collar's effects. But he grabs her arm, flat out refusing and yelling that a plan like that is just impossible. Calcigo frantically explains that reinforcement has nasty side effects, warning her body could literally start to change. But Reimai just grits her teeth, insisting she cares more about this fight than any potential consequences. She absolutely refuses to stand by and do nothing while he sacrifices himself for her. Her eyes are just blazing with a terrifying amount of resolve. She is not backing down. With the other hostages watching, she makes her stand, refusing to be a victim anymore. One last time, she begs Calcigo to let her fight alongside him, to trust in her. Seeing no other choice, he reaches out, his hand glowing as he prepares to cast the spell. He screams her name, telling her he is putting all his trust in her for this one last gamble. Meanwhile, Gilbert is just losing it, wondering why his max power lightning is not taking her down. As the electricity surges, Raimai reveals it is not just her power anymore, but something from us. Then a vision of a horned woman appears, confirming this is a bloodline thing. This other demi-humans can only stare, completely stunned by this sudden power-up. Gilbert just starts screaming his head off, calling her a monster as she transforms before his eyes. Now with horns sprouting, she roars that she will not let them take anything else from her. Fully transformed, she faces down the night, crackling with borrowed magic and her own awakened power. With a furious yell, she slams her fist into the ground, creating a massive shockwave. This knight gets absolutely rocked by the blast, his face a perfect mask of oh crap. Calcigo's jaw is on the floor, completely flabbergasted that his impossible plan actually worked. All the other hostages are just staring in total shock and awe at their new champion. Her fist is still smoking, a clear sign that the real fight is just getting started. Overwhelmed by her new power, Raimai just clutches her fist and cries with a huge smile. Her gaze falls on Calcigo and another terrified hostage, a stark reminder of what is at stake. Calcigo's brain is working overtime, realizing his own body is super weak from the transformation. Meanwhile, Raimai knows this is not even her final form, wondering just how strong she can really get. She turns to Calcigo fully resolved and tells him she is going to follow him from now on. Our boy is just completely speechless, not expecting that declaration in the slightest. Her fist tightens as she vows to take back everything stolen from her home, her dignity, her family. With total conviction, she promises to get stronger and asks him to make her his official companion. Calcigo's face is just a perfect picture of I did not sign up for this level of intensity. A sudden flashback hits him, a memory of bloodshed and someone getting cut down right in front of him. His mind is made up in an instant. It is no good, he cannot accept her offer. Turning his back on her, he says she has no way of knowing if she can truly protect him. He shouts that he does not want her to end up like the people in his memories, he will not drag her down with him. Raimai is just stunned into silence, clearly hurt by his harsh rejection. But she fires back that she is not being dragged into anything, this is her own decision to fight. She lays out the facts, sure she is weak but he is stuck in a body that is not his, they are both handicapped. Taking his hand, she argues that by covering each other's weaknesses, they can reach their goals way faster. Looking him right in the eye, she asks if that is not what being companions is all about. Her words finally break through his defenses, a new resolve hardening in his eyes. Now a team, he immediately starts patching up a deep wound on her arm with a piece of cloth. This other hostages are still processing, with the big horned guy asking Calcigo if he is actually serious. Calcigo just turns away with a quiet, almost embarrassed my bad for all the trouble. Even the competent knight looks humbled, admitting he was the one who failed to protect them. This big demi-human then apologizes for getting the knight injured. It is a whole circle of apologies out here. And now the knight is getting absolutely roasted by the Chibai hostages, calling him an overprotective parent. This big guy shuts that down, pointing out they did not come here to be babysat, they came to fight. This declaration of independence just leaves the knight completely stunned, his brain short-circuiting. Now a united front, the freed hostages tell him to trust them because they are all companions in this. Calcigo cannot help but crack a small, satisfied smile seeing his makeshift team actually come together. Raimai then grabs our boy's hands, telling him he is so much like someone she used to know. He just smirks to himself, wisely deciding that arguing with her right now would be a terrible move. Their hands clasp together tightly, a silent agreement passing between the two of them. Looking her dead in the eye, he finally says it. I am trusting you with my back, Raimai. She's just frozen for a second, her eyes wide with disbelief and overwhelming emotion. Then a massive, tearful smile breaks across her face as his words finally sink in. She tackles him in a huge hug, screaming that she will do her absolute best to protect him. Another demi-human immediately yells at her to stop treating him like a kid. He is an old man inside, remember. This camera pans out, showing the full scale of the wrecked cliffside prison they just escaped. Inside the ruins, the remaining human soldiers are regrouping around their fallen comrades, and the other demi-human captives are whispering amongst themselves, asking if this uprising is really happening. One of the freed hostages points out that this kid is the real hero. An older demi-human just cannot wrap his head around it, muttering in total disbelief. This others start connecting the dots, body swapping, the Demon King, the hero's sudden personality change. But one of them cuts through the doubt, simply stating that he believes Calcigo. This big horned guy Ikeda agrees, saying he saw our boy fight to protect them all. His friends are still struggling, asking if he is really putting his faith in a child. Ikeda just smiles, explaining that while the body is different, the noble soul is unmistakable. In this moment of unity, Calcigo and Raimai stand together, a new team forged in fire. Our boy gives a small, grateful smile, finally thanking Ikeda by name. Suddenly, one of the other demi-humans recognizes a merchant from his village. Small world, Calcigo looks relieved, admitting it is good to see a familiar face again. Ikeda looks on with total reverence, finally addressing him as the true hero. This revelation sends another shockwave through the crowd, who still cannot quite believe it. Someone just screams out that the whole idea is completely impossible. It is one of the human soldiers, ranting that the Demon King is tricking them like he betrayed the hero's party. This demi-humans just stare back, completely unmoved by his desperate denial. Kneeling on the ground, the soldier is challenged to provide any proof of this so-called betrayal. Then a flashback shows Calcigo's original party who fought proudly for their people and would never betray anyone. This memory clearly hits a nerve as Calcigo starts to sweat, his expression darkening, and he absolutely explodes, screaming that the humans are the ones who were deceived all along. This soldier is just completely losing his mind, sweating as he screams his propaganda. And Calcigo flashes back, remembering someone demanding he explain his own mother's death. In his memory, his mother was an activist trying to rally people to liberate the demi-humans, but she was cut down by a masked assassin from a group called Orga, a brutal end to her crusade. A horned woman stands behind a younger Calcigo, both of them just stunned by the scene. Back in the present, the soldier keeps screaming that humans are justice and demi-humans are evil, real original stuff. This flashback shows the horned woman and young Calcigo listening to the same tired argument. She actually admits that Orga was evil and understands his hatred, which is surprisingly empathetic. But Calcigo argues that just because some humans are bad, it does not make them all evil. She smiles, turning his logic right back at him. The same goes for demi-humans, obviously. This soldier tearfully insists that good and evil exist in every race, regardless of who they are. With a sharp glare, Calcigo tells him you cannot preach justice with such a narrow-minded view. This soldier's entire worldview just shatters, leaving him completely speechless. He just stammers, trying to process the bomb Calcigo dropped on his belief system. His mind is racing, questioning what this makes him and the humans if they were the ones in the wrong. In the memory, the horned woman tells young Calcigo they will finish their talk later. Our boy is just laser-focused on one thing, getting rid of the collar, whatever that means. Suddenly, someone screams his name, snapping him out of the intense trip down memory lane. This scene cuts to the quiet night sky, the full moon hanging overhead for dramatic effect. A hand touches his face and he blinks, finally coming back to reality. Calcigo wakes up to find himself getting a lap pillow from Raimai, who asks if he is feeling okay. He immediately scrambles away from her, completely flustered by the situation. Our boy then starts yelling that he is 38 years old and she cannot just do that, a midlife crisis in a kid's body. She is just confused, reminding him he collapsed, and he admits he probably just ran out of magic. Just then, two other demi-humans show up, announcing that dinner is ready now that he is awake. They hoist him into the air like a prize-winning fish, telling him they hunted aboard just for him. After being unceremoniously plopped down, he is told to sit and eat, looking thoroughly unimpressed. But then he sees the absolute feast they have prepared and his jaw just drops. Raimai explains with a smile that everyone pitched in to cook while he was out cold. She is absolutely beaming, saying they were all super motivated to do something for their hero. Calcigo just gives this little smirk, a silent IC passing across his face. Getting back to business, he asks about the night, wondering how they can get the collars off. Raimai says it is probably impossible since someone higher up is managing the whole operation. This phrase, higher up, immediately puts Calcigo on high alert, his expression darkening. Her face gets serious as she reveals the demi-human country has been invaded. He asks if their nation was annexed by the human kingdom of Stella, and Ikieta confirms it. A map then lays out the grim reality. The Stella Kingdom has conquered the central lands. Ikieta explains that many demi-humans are now slaves in their own territory or sold off to humans. Calcigo confirms his suspicion that the Night Order is now ruling the occupied land. With a determined look, he realizes his only option is to talk to the commander one more time. Calcigo tries to get back to business, shouting for everyone to wait a second. But Raimai just gently takes his hand, telling him that first they are going to eat. Another one of the demi-humans chimes in, saying they went to all this trouble just for him. Ikieta then adds that he heard the whole story. Calcigo is going to take back everything that was stolen. And to do that, he needs to eat up and get strong because you cannot fight a war on an empty stomach. With a shared, knowing smile, our boy finally agrees that she has a point. This whole group settles in for a feast, a rare moment of peace for these newly freed prisoners. Even the older guys are having a blast, laughing and enjoying the simple food together. Raimai asks him if it is good while Calcigo looks like he is about to pop. This kid can eat. His smug little grin says it all. He is clearly enjoying being pampered for once. Elsewhere, the other freed captives are also sharing a meal, a real community forming in the woods. Calcigo finally admits it out loud, confirming that the food is absolutely delicious. Meanwhile, in a cave-turned prison, two demi-humans stand guard at a barred gate. One of the guards keeps a stoic watch, his expression grim and determined. Inside, the competent knight is tied up and fuming, unable to get them to lower their guard at all. He knows he could probably use magic to escape, but rescuing all the other human soldiers is impossible. Suddenly, two of his own men approach, asking if what the Demon King said could actually be true. This knight is shocked they are even entertaining the idea, though he admits some parts were weirdly convincing. His whole worldview starts to crack as he asks them, but what if it is all real? A quick flash of memory shows his past triumphs, now tainted by the image of suffering demi-humans. This knight's mind is just reeling, realizing that if Calcigo is right, everything they have done is a crime. Back in the cave prison, one of his men checks on him, asking if he is alright. Dude, he is tied up. Another soldier is panicking, shouting that their commander has a raging fever and needs help immediately. Hearing this, Calcigo starts sweating, looking genuinely worried about the knight's health. With a look of resolve, he takes a single step forward, heading for the prison. He walks right up to the makeshift prison, staring down the captured humans with his demi-human crew behind him. Inside, the knight looks up, completely stunned to see Calcigo standing just outside the bars. With zero emotion, Calcigo asks who can remove the collar from their commander, Gilbert. This knight is just sweating bullets, completely baffled by this kid's sudden offer of help. Meanwhile, one of the demi-human guards tightens his grip on a knife, not trusting this situation one bit. This knight just slumps against the bars, admitting to himself that these demi-humans are not what he expected. His own men call out to him, concerned by his sudden silence and broken expression. He is just drenched in sweat, his gaze dropping as the weight of his potential crimes hits him. Finally, the knight offers a deal. He will talk if Calcigo promises to save his men. He says they can do whatever they want to him. He does not care as long as his men are spared. He just begs them not to take his subordinates' lives, even asking for them to be treated. His men are absolutely losing it, screaming that he cannot do this and that all the blame is on him. Calcigo just looks at him and calmly says, "All right, I promise." A small, almost imperceptible smile of relief crosses the knight's face as he looks up. Now that they have a deal, the knight reveals that the key to the collar is held by its owner. Calcigo asks who owns the collar, and the knight reveals it is one of the infamous four knights. These guys are apparently the Demon King's hand-picked elites, with a nasty reputation for hunting demi-humans. Ikeda is absolutely stunned, asking Calcigo if he knows who they are up against. With a grimace, Ikeda recalls fighting to defend his homeland when it was first invaded. A brutal flashback shows one of those armored monsters standing over a defeated and bloodied Ikeda, total nightmare fuel. Ikeda explains that even their best warriors were slaughtered, and now he learns there are *4* of these guys running around. Calcigo's face just falls, the weight of this new threat sinking in immediately. Our boy asks the knight if one of these walking disasters is nearby, and the guy confirms it. A map lays out the occupation's strategy. One of the four knights is stationed in each major territory to crush any hope of rebellion. This knight gets a smug look, daring Calcigo to go meet the one at the local knight HQ if he thinks he can win. But when Calcigo asks for a name or face, the knight claims he knows nothing since contact with the hero is restricted. He is practically taunting them, saying they can waste all day with torture, but he cannot give what he does not have. And with that, he declares that is every last bit of info he is going to share. Ikeda is having none of it, stepping forward with a look that could curdle milk. This big guy grabs the bars of the cell, looking like he is about to bend them with his bare hands. Inside, the other soldiers totally panic, screaming for him to stop and yelling for their commander. Suddenly, Ikeda is holding a knife to the kneeling knight's throat. Guess the door's open now. He pulls the blade back just a hair, the threat hanging heavy in the air. This knight is just completely baffled, sweating and asking what the hell is happening. Instead of slitting his throat, Ikeda starts untying his hands, leaving the knight totally speechless. This knight is sweating buckets as Ikeda holds the blade right to his throat. One of his men absolutely loses it, screaming that they are going back on their word. His buddy chimes in, yelling that demi-humans are just monsters after all, real original. But instead of an execution, Ikeda's blade slices right through the knight's ropes. In a total twist, the demi-humans start treating the human soldiers, even carrying the sick ones. Our knight is just left staring, completely unable to process this sudden act of kindness. Reimai then tells him not to worry, they are going to treat his wounds as well. This guy is just floored, asking if they seriously are not going to kill him. Calcigo just deadpans that oh yeah, he definitely wants to kill him. In fact, he clarifies that just killing them would not be nearly enough for him. He wants them to suffer the same humiliation his friends did, to be ground into the dirt and executed. To make them pay 100 times over for everything they have done, that is the only way to settle the score. This revelation leaves the knight absolutely terrified by the kid's rage. But the other demi-humans had already heard Calcigo's story and debated who was truly at fault. They concluded the real evil was the Demon King who tricked them all, especially the young humans. Calcigo admits he might not have the right to forgive them, but sinking to their level just continues the cycle. And that, she declares, is exactly why they will not be killing any of them. This just completely breaks the knight's brain. He cannot believe what he is hearing. Ikeda explains that this very choice is proof that they are not the dangerous monsters humans think they are. So if the humans still do not trust them, he says, then it is their turn to earn the demi-humans' trust. This knight is just sweating, his mind completely shattered by this sudden display of mercy. Reimai gently tells him to look up because they cannot exactly bandage his wounds while he is staring at the floor. His head is just a total mess, the world he knew completely turned upside down. He asks what he is even supposed to do now, questioning everything he has ever fought for. Reimai just watches him, her expression a mix of pity and quiet resolve. She then tells him that for once he needs to think for himself instead of just following orders. Calcigo, meanwhile, is just observing this whole emotional breakdown with zero patience. Getting right back to business, he asks Ikeda if he knows where the local Night Order HQ is. Ikeda confirms they have set up shop in the old royal castle in the capital city, Solia. This big guy is stunned, asking if Calcigo seriously plans to head there right now. It is a journey of several days. Our boy lays out the strategy. They have to move before his face is on a wanted poster and enemy reinforcements arrive. But Ikeda tries to be the responsible one, pointing out Calcigo's been running on fumes and desperately needs to rest. Calcigo just glares, saying he is sick of seeing them all oppressed and cannot stand to wait any longer. With a flash of his older, more cynical self, he admits it is selfish, but his own conscience will not let him stop. He stands his ground, a tiny kid with the weight of a nation on his shoulders facing the giant warrior. Ikeda looks down at him, finally understanding that there is not a single lie in the kid's words. This kid does not help people because he has to, he helps them simply because he wants to. So Ikeda, surrounded by his people, pledges his loyalty to their hero and asks to fight alongside him. Kalsigo immediately argues back, reminding them it is too dangerous and Ikeda is still badly injured. But Ikeda just closes his eyes, admitting he knows the risks but cannot endure this life of subjugation for another day. He asks if it is really so selfish to want their freedom back, his mind already made up. Kalsigo is totally caught off guard by the big guy's passionate plea. With a small, knowing smile, our boy finally caves, saying he understands their resolve. So the whole crew rallies behind him, deciding they will all fight this war together. Kalsigo turns with renewed purpose, declaring it is time to go get that collar off. Their destination is the Night Order's HQ, a fortress looming under the full moon. Inside, one of the four knights stands watch, a menacing silhouette against the night sky. Elsewhere, a smug-looking guy with a scar promises a party after they defeat the Demon King, total hero vibes. Kalsigo jolts awake, looking less than thrilled to be bouncing around in a wagon. After a 3-day journey, they finally arrive at the capital city Solia, and there it is, the Soul Kingdom's Night Order headquarters in all its imposing glory. A commander stands before his troops, the whole place absolutely crawling with soldiers. This must be the local boss, a guy with a magnificent mustache asking for a report. One of his men snaps to attention, ready to give his update. He reports that they have captured not only Gilbert's unit, but also the Demon King and his followers. Wait, what? Kalsigo keeps his head down, playing the part of a defeated prisoner perfectly. This commander taps his foot, mulling over this very unexpected development. Looking down at the kid, he is totally unimpressed, asking if this is really the Demon King. This soldier explains that while the Demon King is weakened, all his own men are now hospitalized. This commander smirks, deciding the four knights will watch the kid until the hero himself arrives to deal with him. This commander gives Kalsigo a look that is pure ice, clearly not buying the Demon King act for a second. He pats Gilbert on the shoulder, congratulating him on a job well done for capturing the supposed threat. This commander then promises Gilbert that his mother will be rewarded for his loyalty, a classic manipulation tactic. But Gilbert just looks down, a single tear betraying his absolute misery over this so-called victory. His fist tightens as he apologizes to his father, clearly hating every single second of this. Then we flash back to a collapsing cave where the commander is holding a desperate Gilbert back. This commander is just staring in disbelief, completely stunned by what is happening in front of him. Meanwhile, a rope snaps. Looks like Kalsigo's crew has successfully infiltrated the area. With their entry secured, Kalsigo and the others get ready to move, signaling the start of their operation. Their first objective is to free the other captured demi-humans from a prison wagon. One of the knights activates a glowing ring, shouting that they at least need to secure the commander's collar. This freed demi-humans immediately turn on their captors, pushing a heavy wagon straight at them. It crashes with explosive force, sending wheels and splinters flying absolutely everywhere. This blast sends knights tumbling through the air, their perfect formation now a total, chaotic mess. Utterly blindsided, the commander is just screaming, trying to figure out how his perfect capture went so wrong. He immediately grabs Gilbert, accusing him of being a traitor and asking if he has forgotten his mother's grudge. Gilbert desperately screams back that he is wrong, because he is finally starting to understand why his own mother protected the demi-humans in the first place. This revelation leaves the commander sweating, unable to process that Gilbert actually listened to them. Amid the chaos, Kalsigo roars about fighting back against the sheer inequality of this world. Flashback time, we are jumping back 3 days to when they were still in the mine. Kalsigo lays out the Trojan horse plan, get captured and waltz right into the enemy's castle. This collar, he explains, is magically linked to one of the four knights, so they just need to break the source. Since talking is off the table, the new plan is to zap the big boss with lightning the second he shows his face. This means Kalsigo has to save his energy, leaving Reimai and the others to handle the small fry. Reimai immediately worries about the collar's built-in taser function, which is a totally valid concern. From his corner, Gilbert points out that using that kind of magic effectively takes some serious skill. Apparently, only a top-tier mage can zap everyone at once. The regular grunts need a direct line of sight. So Gilbert volunteers to distract the commander, meaning they just need to block the other soldiers' vision to be safe. Kalsigo is genuinely surprised, asking if their former captor is actually offering to cooperate. Gilbert admits he is not fully on board, but seeing they are not monsters has definitely changed his mind. Even one of his soldiers looks ready to follow his lead, a total change of heart from before. So he agrees to help them out, but he makes it clear this is a one-time deal, no best friends bracelets just yet. Kalsigo gives a tiny, smug smile and thanks him, looking like he knew this would happen all along. Not missing a beat, Reimai threatens to off the commander if they get betrayed, but Kalsigo promises her it'll be fine. Now for the million-dollar question, how exactly are they going to block everyone's vision in the middle of a fortress? Our boy asks one of the miners if they happen to have any gunpowder lying around for, reasons. A wicked little glint appears in his eye as he gets an idea. This cannot be good. He announces his genius solution is to just cause a massive explosion, leaving the demi-humans completely stunned. But Reimai points out the obvious flaw: a big enough blast to blind the enemy will also blind them. Calcigo hits Reimai with a weird question: how well can she see the soldiers in the cage? She is just completely baffled by the sudden pop quiz. Reimai confirms she can see every single one of them perfectly, which seems to surprise the captured knights. With a sly grin, Calcigo admits that he can barely make out the humans in the back. This new info completely short-circuits Reimai's brain. What is he even talking about? Ikeda explains that ogres are not just strong, their five senses are way sharper than other races. This other demi-humans are stunned, admitting it is so obvious they never even thought about it. Calcigo adds that since ogres kept to themselves, it is no wonder nobody knew their little secret. A look of grim understanding crosses his face. He recalls someone named Enma, realizing this was their advantage all along. So he asks his crew if they can tell friend from foe inside a smokescreen, and the answer is a resounding yes. This gunpowder goes off in a massive, disorienting blast. A knight stumbles through the smoke, totally blinded by the explosion. He panics, realizing he cannot see a thing, which makes the collar totally useless. Suddenly, a hand emerges from the thick smoke, ready to strike. Reimai lands a clean hit on a knight, taking full advantage of their ogre super senses. Another soldier gets grabbed from behind, screaming about where they even came from. With a wild look in her eye, Reimai realizes it is true: the humans are completely helpless in here. This demi-humans immediately start taking down the knights, shouting orders to secure the area. One of Gilbert's men gets attacked, desperately yelling that he is supposed to be on their side now. Awkward. This ogres are so hyped they are accidentally grabbing Gilbert's men too, yelling for more rope, a slight mix-up in the chaos. Reimai breathes a sigh of relief, seeing that everyone is okay and the commander is being dealt with. With the grunts neutralized, Calcigo's focus narrows to the only real threats left. And a massive explosion confirms his fears: the four knights are the only ones left standing. We get a glimpse of their power as a knight gets absolutely obliterated by a single punch. Calcigo explains that demi-humans are naturally superior in both magic and strength, so this should not even be a fight. His eyes narrow as he puts the pieces together, realizing the four knights' true identity. They are just regular humans using a powerful enhancement magic to cheat the system. This explains everything. The magic gives them an insane power boost, enough to overwhelm even the strongest demi-humans. But it is forbidden for a reason. The side effect is your body grotesquely mutating into a monster. Calcigo cannot figure out why anyone would choose this unless they were manipulated by the so-called hero. Looking at his own crew, he finds his answer: people will do anything to protect the ones they love. So no matter their reasons, he has made his choice. He is taking them down. And speak of the devil, he senses an immense power approaching right at that moment. He looks up just in time to see one of the four knights dropping in for a surprise visit. Not wasting a single second, Calcigo unleashes his own attack, lightning crackling in his hand. But his attack is met with something he absolutely did not expect, leaving him stunned. A blinding pillar of light erupts from the ground, completely overwhelming his magic. And it is not aimed at him, it is tearing right through the armored knight who was attacking him. This remaining knights are just screaming in confusion as the entire fortress courtyard begins to shatter around them. This whole place is coming down, and the demi-humans are scrambling for cover from the falling debris. Gilbert screams for his father as the commander gets crushed by a massive chunk of rock. Well, that is a plot twist. Even Reimai gets pinned down by the rubble, struggling to break free from the weight. Her eyes go wide with shock as she sees the source of all this insane destruction. A single punch created this massive crater, leveling everything in sight. Talk about overkill. And there is the culprit, one of the four knights, standing in the middle like it was nothing. This guy just casually adjusts his helmet, completely unbothered by the chaos he just caused. Pushing herself free, Reimai desperately calls out for Calcigo, hoping he is still in one piece. Calcigo lands nearby, just relieved to see that she is actually okay after that blast. Reimai immediately points out that the knight has stopped moving. This is their one and only chance to strike. She is screaming at him to use his magic, but Calcigo's fist is just trembling. Our boy is completely frozen, sweating and staring in absolute disbelief at the enemy before him. Reimai is totally confused by his hesitation, wondering what could possibly be wrong. Calcigo's mind is just racing, refusing to believe what he is seeing. It cannot be possible. Then a memory flashes through his mind of a familiar, smiling ogre named Enma waving goodbye. This look on his face is pure horror as the devastating truth starts to sink in. Meanwhile, Gilbert can only stare down at his trapped father, totally helpless. Calcigo is still paralyzed, whispering why as he struggles to process this betrayal. Because the armored knight is reaching for their helmet, and he knows exactly who is underneath. This helmet comes off, revealing the face of Enma, an ogre and someone Calcigo clearly trusted. Enma gives a smug grin, casually greeting Calcigo like they are old pals. What a psycho. This other demi-humans are totally lost, shouting through the dust about what just happened. Calcigo is just kneeling in the rubble, staring up at the traitor who was once his friend. His mind completely breaks, stammering out a single desperate why. This name finally escapes his lips in pure disbelief. It is Enma, and Enma just repeats his casual greeting, really twisting the knife with that smile. Reimai scrambles over the wreckage, trying to get to Calcigo's side. She stops dead in her tracks, realizing the impossible is staring them right in the face. Reimai demands answers, asking how Enma is alive when he was supposed to be dead. This horrible truth dawns on her. This was not a rescue, it was a betrayal from the very beginning. Enma just stands there, soaking it all in like he is the star of the show. He confirms it with a simple yep, not a shred of remorse on his face. As Reimai reels from the shock, Enma decides it is time for a little villain monologue. He clarifies that he was not just a traitor, he was never their ally in the first place. Kalsigo can only watch as Reimai realizes Enma was not fighting for some greater good. Turns out his whole motivation was proving he was the strongest ogre by climbing to the top. So he made a deal with the big bad, a guy named Diles, to make it happen. This deal was simple. He'd help control the demi-humans if he got to fight ogres on the front lines. Kalsigo's eye widens in absolute fury, finally understanding the depth of this treachery. Enma looks absolutely thrilled, admitting he cannot wait to crush his own kind for sport. Kalsigo is just a wreck, staring up at the monster who used to be his best friend. He absolutely loses it, screaming in pure undiluted rage at the betrayal. But Kalsigo snaps at Rami, telling her not to insult the memory of the real Enma. She is completely stunned by his reaction because he is defending the guy who just sold them out. With pure hatred in his eyes, Kalsigo demands to know who this creepy imposter is. Enma just looks down on him, totally unfazed by the whole identity crisis thing. This traitor lays it out cold. "I was never your friend, now deal with it," a classic villain speech. Kalsigo's fist trembles as he refuses to believe it, muttering that it cannot be true. Someone in the background just lets out a confused huh. Which, yeah, same. We flash back to a bar where Enma casually reveals he is actually a prince. This other demi-humans gossip about how a prince could be so sincere and hang with Kalsigo's crew. Back then, Kalsigo had asked him why he joined the war instead of just protecting his own kingdom. He pushed further, sensing there had to be some other, deeper motivation at play. Enma explained that the ogres were isolated, their relations with other nations totally strained. His big fear was that if they did not build bridges, they'd be alone against the next big threat. So as a prince, he claimed he was fighting to unite the world. What a noble, lying sack of garbage. Back in the present, Kalsigo roars that this whole memory proves the guy in front of him is a fake. Our boy screams it right at him. "You are not Enma." While the traitor just stares back bored, his two former friends face off across the ruins, one broken and the other standing tall. Enma just scoffs, completely unmoved by Kalsigo's desperate denial. Enma just laughs, mockingly praising Kalsigo for finally catching on. What a complete tool. Our boy is just completely shattered, his brain blue screening at the confirmation. This denial finally breaks and he is just left there crying, totally defeated by the truth. This imposter keeps twisting the knife, asking when Kalsigo realized he was not the real Enma. Reimai cannot even process it, stammering about someone being replaced as the horror sinks in. Enma continues his little performance, asking if he got the mannerisms right. Dude practiced for this. Kalsigo finally snaps, screaming that he does not give a damn about this guy's villain monologue. He is barely holding it together, a single tear tracing a path through the grime on his face. This traitor clarifies he did not just kick Enma's soul out. Oh no, it is much worse than that. With chilling certainty, Kalsigo states that the real Enma is definitely dead. Reimai just stares in absolute horror, unable to accept what she is hearing. Our boy looks so small and broken standing there, the weight of this revelation crushing him. This gears start turning in Kalsigo's head as a horrifying new possibility emerges from the chaos. He barely gets the words out, asking if the other three knights are also. That smug grin from the imposter says everything Kalsigo needs to know, and it is not good. We see the other three members of the four knights, their overwhelming power now feeling deeply sinister. This devastating realization hits Kalsigo. The four knights are his own missing comrades. A quick flash of memory shows his crew the very friends he has been fighting to find, and the imposter just confirms it with a cheerful "you got it." The absolute monster. Kalsigo is just wrecked, screaming that they were all supposed to be saving the world together. This imposter is just laughing his head off, admitting how much fun it is to be on the destroying side. Kalsigo's face goes dark, muttering that he has heard more than enough out of this clown, and the imposter just stands there like a king in his new kingdom of rubble, soaking it all in. But our boy is done talking, his hand crackling with lightning as he powers up for the real fight. A single tear finally escapes, tracing a path through all the dirt and betrayal. Then a vision of the real Enma appears, begging Kalsigo to stop, pleading that it is still him in there. Kalsigo completely freezes, his attack faltering as he stares at the ghost of his friend. His hand trembles, the name Enma barely a whisper as his resolve shatters. This imposter's grin is pure evil, telling him to stay right where he is, total manipulation. He then announces his grand plan to kill every single demi-human here starting now. Kalsigo's eyes go wide, realizing he just gave the monster a perfect opening. Snapping out of it, he lunges forward, throwing a desperate, rage-fueled punch. Reimai can only scream his name, completely shocked by the sudden turn of events. But Kalsigo's sweating hard, realizing his enhancement magic is lagging at the worst possible moment. This imposter easily deflects the punch with a kick, mocking him for hesitating earlier. He unleashes a massive blast, boasting that not even a so-called hero can stop him now. This attack shatters the ground, sending massive chunks of rock flying everywhere. Floating above the chaos, the imposter taunts him about how precious his friends are. Right. Then he dives down, bringing his full weight and power into a devastating final blow. Raimai just screams in terror, absolutely helpless to stop the attack. Calcigo is getting absolutely slammed into the ground, the imposter telling him not to move. This traitor just grins down at him, taunting our boy about what a terrible situation he is in. He keeps twisting the knife, asking if Calcigo wants to save the demi-humans, or maybe he wants to get revenge for his fallen friends instead. But to do that, he'd have to kill his other friends who are now the enemy knights. This psycho just laughs, mocking how pathetic Calcigo looks all beaten down. He is having the time of his life, cheering for his boss Diles like a total fanboy. Raimai can only watch in absolute fury, calling the traitor the bastard he is. Grabbing Calcigo by the collar, the imposter says his spirit is clearly broken now, so he offers a choice: get dragged to the big bad or just die here for a quick ending. Calcigo just hangs there limply, completely zoned out from the pain and betrayal. This imposter notes that Calcigo cannot even use his powers right, let alone his words. But Calcigo mutters that the real Enma's punch was way stronger than this fake's. That comment clearly gets under the traitor's skin, his expression hardening instantly. He shoves Calcigo away in disgust, completely done with this conversation. Raimai screams his name as Calcigo gets tossed aside like a piece of trash. With a casual "see ya," the imposter starts charging up a massive finishing move. He unleashes a swirling vortex of pure destructive energy, ready to wipe them out. This blast just rips through the battlefield, sending both Calcigo and Raimai flying. Raimai desperately grabs Calcigo, trying to shield him as the attack closes in. Raimai's eyes go wide in total panic as the blast barrels right towards them. But out of nowhere, another guy leaps in, holding back the collapsing cavern with his bare hands. She recognizes him instantly, shouting out the name Gilbert. This new dude is straining hard, gritting his teeth against the sheer force of the attack. And he is not alone. Another horned woman with a kid says they overheard the whole villain monologue. Gilbert glances back, admitting that their suspicions about the whole situation were spot on. This kid with them just looks absolutely traumatized by everything that has just gone down. Calcigo can only mutter a defeated "yeah," confirming everything they feared was true. In a flash, Gilbert grabs our boy by the collar, clearly not happy with him. He absolutely lays into Calcigo, demanding to know why he hesitated when he promised to fix this mess. Raimai just watches, stunned that Calcigo's getting chewed out by their last-minute rescue. Someone in the background calls out to hero Calcigo, but he is not feeling very heroic right now. Gilbert's fist is trembling, just radiating pure frustration with the whole situation. But Calcigo snaps out of it, apologizing with a newfound fire in his eyes. Seeing that spark, Gilbert finally lets go, taking a breath as the tension eases a bit. This horned woman starts giving orders, telling them to get the other ogres and run while they can. Gilbert steps up, declaring he is going to hold off the imposter himself, a total suicide mission. His companion is floored, yelling that he cannot possibly fight that monster alone, but he just says he has his own reasons for taking on this particular enemy. And we flash back to his childhood, watching a horned demon murder his mother right in front of him. This flashback reveals the killer was a hooded demon standing over his mother's lifeless body, and that demon's face is none other than the Enma imposter, looking just as smug back then. Gilbert confirms it through gritted teeth: this is the ogre who murdered his mom all those years ago. His companions are absolutely floored by this personal connection, their faces just pure shock. Back in the present, Gilbert stands his ground, declaring that this is why he has to be the one to fight. Calcigo looks up, finally understanding the sheer weight of Gilbert's personal vendetta. With a newfound resolve, our boy tells Gilbert he is leaving the fight to him, a moment of pure trust. He grabs Raimai's hand, telling her it is time for them to get the hell out of there. Calcigo yells that they cannot let Gilbert's incredible resolve go to waste by sticking around. Raimai looks back, completely terrified but trusting Calcigo's lead for now. But their escape is blocked by a wall of fire and rubble, making a quick exit impossible. To make matters worse, Calcigo admits he is totally out of magic after burning it all on the last boss. A boot steps into frame and a voice mocks them for trying to run away. It is the imposter, casually asking Calcigo if he is really bailing after all that big talk. Calcigo is just stunned because he thought Gilbert was keeping this monster busy. In the distance, a massive explosion erupts right where Gilbert was supposed to be fighting. This imposter just yawns, wondering if that was really enough to kill him. What a disappointment. Suddenly, a small impact sound cuts through the air, hitting something solid. This traitor gets clipped by a lightning-fast attack, barely even registering it with a casual oops. With a smirk, he realizes he has been played, muttering that they must have known his plan all along. This imposter mockingly asks if Gilbert is really trying to get revenge for his mommy. Gilbert just grits his teeth, absolutely seething at the casual disrespect. Without another word, the traitor unleashes a massive beam of energy, not holding back at all. He is just laughing, swatting away Gilbert's attacks while calling him pathetic and weak. This monster then asks if Gilbert even knows why he killed his mother, settling in for a villain monologue. Turns out his family was high-ranking and killing her was just a convenient way to sow chaos. In a flashback, we see his dad bowing to Diles, with the imposter gloating about the plan's success. He is just grinning ear to ear, saying he is so glad he killed her. What a complete psycho. Gilbert is trembling with pure rage, barely able to contain himself after that confession. This imposter's hand flashes forward, aiming a strike right at his face, and he sends Gilbert flying with a single devastating blow, not even breaking a sweat. Our guy goes tumbling through the rubble, completely overpowered by the sheer force of the hit. That impact is absolutely brutal, blood just erupting from the side of his head. Standing over him, the imposter asks if he is done already because he has got a hero to deal with. He even offers to let Gilbert live if he joins D-Less's side, a truly tempting offer, I am sure. Lying in the dirt, Gilbert looks absolutely wrecked, but his eyes still burn with defiance. He tells himself that if this is just about revenge, he should swallow his pride and wait for another chance. But a sword point digs into the ground, signaling he is not giving up just yet. With blood pouring down his face, Gilbert declares that he has to keep going to atone for something. A flashback reveals his core trauma, believing that because he was hurt, he has the right to hurt others. He has done so many cruel things in his life, all justified by his own pain. But his friends and family showed him that his twisted logic was completely wrong, and if they could do that for him, then he has to do the same now. So Gilbert gets back on his feet, declaring there is no way he is letting this psycho get away. This imposter is just so impressed by this display of defiance, you can totally tell. He just laughs, calling this whole effort a waste of time as his hand starts to glow. Gilbert, however, just gives him a bloody grin, ready for round two. He is begging for forgiveness for leaving without a word, a single tear tracking down his face. It is a memory of him all alone, calling out for his father in the dark. In the flashback, he is hiding something, hoping no one is watching him. But just when you think it is over, a whole new crew appears, ready to throw down. Our villain is totally caught off guard, recognizing a female knight and an elf without a slave collar. His confidence finally cracks as he asks who these newcomers are. This new guy with the glasses just gives him a look that says, "You are about to find out." This imposter demands an answer again, clearly not liking this surprise party. This whole squad stands together, with the elf in glasses stepping forward to speak. With that same infuriatingly calm smile, he starts to explain who they are, and the big reveal: they are allies of the hero Calcigo. Surprise. This just completely breaks the imposter's brain, his only response a confused huh. Even Calcigo is screaming allies, but the new guy just tells him to chill and trust the plan. This elf with the glasses turns, casually mentioning that he knows the elf they're talking about. Our imposter is not amused by this surprise party, wondering why the hero is swapping notes with the enemy. With total confidence, the new guy tells the fake to introduce himself first. What a power play. He then asks a very pointed question: what kind of demon are you exactly? That question clearly hits a nerve because the imposter is absolutely stunned silent. Even Calcigo is just staring, completely lost about what is happening right now. This glasses elf starts dropping lore, explaining how high-level demons can possess bodies with weak souls. He lays out the whole plan. D-Less weakened Calcigo's friends just so he could puppet their bodies. This imposter is actually impressed, demanding to know where they got all this intel. Unfazed, the elf just asks for his real identity again, since they are all desperate here. Our villain just scoffs, sarcastically suggesting he ask the hero instead. Calcigo suddenly speaks up, realizing that they have actually met before. His eyes go wide as he connects the dots. This is the high-ranking fire demon from his past. As this sinks in, the whole new squad stands ready to throw down behind him, and leading the charge is a massive, grinning, minotaur-looking dude, definitely not a friendly face. Calcigo just screams his name in disbelief: Torobos. This imposter's eye narrows, finally understanding what is going on here. A dry, knowing laugh escapes him, like he is enjoying this little reunion. He explodes with a grin, thrilled that Calcigo finally remembers him after being ignored for so long. Gilbert and the others can only watch in shock as this whole situation gets even more complicated. Torobos is having a full-on meltdown, whining that he wanted to fight Calcigo but got stuck with some other random ogre. Our boy is just screaming, completely baffled how this dude is even alive after supposedly losing to Enma. Peeking through his fingers, Torobos gives a creepy grin, explaining that he did not lose because, well, he is not dead. Flawless logic. Turns out D-Less gave him a hand, and by hand he means he just stole this entire body for him. Now that Calcigo's memory is jogged, Torobos tells him to fight while everyone else can just run away. With a truly unhinged smile, he says this stolen body is pointless if he cannot use it to fight the hero. Priorities, people. His gaze is absolutely locked on Calcigo, completely fixated on getting this rematch. But Calcigo puts up a hand, looking like he is about to step up to the plate himself. Our new elf strategist glances back, probably not loving this little detour from the main plan. Calcigo looks absolutely wrecked, but there is still a fire in his eyes as he mutters something under his breath. A fist clenches tight as the elf confirms he understands what Calcigo is thinking. He calls out to his horned companion, Mist, who just gives a simple ready yes. Mist then steps forward, arms at the ready, clearly prepared to throw down on his command. Torobos just scoffs, asking if they are seriously going to fight him now that he has completely lost interest in them. So rude. Looking like he is about to collapse, Calcigo tells Torobos they should fight when they are both at 100%. This actually gets a reaction out of Torobos, who promises their next fight will be an all-out brawl. Our boy declares he will not hesitate anymore, promising to settle the score for everything this psycho has taken. With a look of pure, terrifying resolve, Calcigo tells him not to even think about winning this. For the first time, Torobos actually looks a little rattled by the sheer intensity coming off our boy. And with that, Mist steps up, her hand glowing with power as she announces she is making her move. Without wasting a second, Mist unleashes a massive tornado, clearly not here to play games. Torobos just scoffs at her wind magic, asking if she is seriously trying to fly away. He calls her an idiot, planting his hand on the ground to hold his position. But the sheer force of the gale sends him flying anyway, tumbling head over heels. Even while getting tossed around, he is still taunting her that she has nowhere to run now. Mist just gives him a terrifying grin, telling him it is time to give up already. Then she smashes her fist into a nearby wall, shattering the rock with incredible power. She looks around, wondering if they actually managed to get away from that psycho. A sudden panic hits her as she realizes that Elf might have used teleportation magic on them. Standing on a newly formed rock pillar, she just sighs about having more bad news to report to D-Less. As she looks out over the city, it seems she is accepting that this round is over. Meanwhile, Calcigo is absolutely seething, vowing that next time he will fight with everything he has got. Torobos mirrors that intensity with a psycho grin, promising to utterly crush him in their rematch. Suddenly, we cut to Raimai, who is just looking around completely bewildered, asking, This whole crew is now in some kind of stone tunnel, totally lost about where they are. Mist asks the glasses elf what is going on, and he just calmly tells her they are in a safe place. Turns out, this is a secret royal passage where no one can follow since he teleported them all together. Turning to the others, he realizes he completely forgot to introduce himself. Whoops, priorities. This guy's name is Selen, and he used to be a magic instructor for the knights, and one of Calcigo's teachers. Calcigo and Mist are both stunned, realizing this new ally has a much deeper connection than they thought. Selen casually mentions he only taught Calcigo basic magic, not the forbidden stuff he has been using. Mist then gives Raimai a huge hug out of nowhere, calling it a friendly greeting, much to her surprise. She introduces herself as Mistral but tells everyone to just call her Mist with a confident smile. Gilbert is having a full-on system crash, so Mist just pats his head and tells him to chill out. Selen notes that Mist is a district captain who can use teleportation without a slave collar, which is a huge deal. Still totally lost, Gilbert demands to know who they are, and Mist steps forward to explain everything. But just as she is about to speak, a scarred, horned man with a royal presence appears out of thin air, and the big reveal: this is King Renma, a name that clearly carries some serious weight. Calcigo is completely floored by this, just staring in absolute jaw-on-the-floor disbelief. Raimai confirms this is the king who went missing in action after his kingdom was invaded. This king explains his group is a mix of humans and demi-humans who escaped the demon lord's control. Their goal is to fight for the liberation of all demi-humans, forming the Demi-Human Liberation Alliance. Standing before him, the king declares they have been waiting for the hero Calcigo this whole time. With burning intensity, Renma asks Calcigo to help him get revenge for his son Enma. In a flashback, we see their hideout is a safe haven where Mist is even taking care of a baby. It is a place where the injured are tended to, with Selen helping out one of the wounded members. We see Mist welcoming more refugees who are just overwhelmed with relief to have finally found safety. They recount how King Renma appeared and saved them right when they were trapped by fire and rubble. This king himself led them all to safety through a secret underground passage, getting everyone out. One of them laments the cruel twist of fate that Enma's body was stolen by a demon, a pain the king and Calcigo now share. Mist just gives a quiet, worried agreement, probably trying to keep up with all these reveals. A woman from the new crew explains this is one of their secret bases with spies inside the Knights. That whole spies in the Night Order thing is clearly blowing Gilbert's mind right now. Turns out their little alliance is not so little. Selen tells Calcigo they are over 100 strong with collaborators. With that same smug smile, Selen explains they only brought a small team to make contact with him. Our boy assumes the king is their leader, but Renma immediately shuts that down. Nope, not him. Selen gets all mysterious, saying he cannot give details, but their leader knows Calcigo very well. That little tidbit hits Calcigo like a truck, his eyes going wide with total shock. Apparently, this mystery leader was the first to clock the body swap and decided to wait for Calcigo's return. This #1 reason for this whole plan, he explains, is Calcigo's raw power. Their alliance is full of non-combatants, making them easy targets for the Demon Lord without a real powerhouse. Even in his weakened state, Calcigo gets it, that body of his still holds immense value. A chilling image of the Demon Lord reminds us he can regain his full power if the conditions are met. Once that happens, Selen says with a grin, Calcigo will be a massive weapon against the Demon Lord's forces. Our boy finally puts it all together, realizing why they have been waiting for him this whole time. Selen then apologizes for dumping all these expectations on him while he is obviously going through it. Calcigo just cuts him off, looking down as he says it is not like that at all. He looks up with a grin, saying he planned to beat the Demon Lord anyway and thanks his teacher for believing in him. Selen just gives a knowing smile, commenting that our boy really has not changed one bit. From the side, King Renma chimes in, agreeing that he really is still the same person. King Renma immediately lays into Calcigo, blaming his reckless charge for endangering everyone here. Our boy can only look down in shame, admitting that it is all his fault. This king is not done, pointing out that Calcigo's haste is the root of this whole mess. He then drops the hammer, asking if that recklessness is why the Demon Lord stole his body. Even Mist and her companion are completely stunned by how hard the king is going in. Selen tries to intervene, yelling for the king to stop what he is doing, but Renma just starts a story, remembering a time when it was spring. In a flashback, he recalls Enma promising they'd celebrate peace under the blossoms after beating the Demon Lord. Instead, his kingdom was invaded and countless people died fighting back against the attackers. We see Enma defeated and surrounded by the flames of his fallen home, and that is when Diles appeared, stealing his body right from the heart of the chaos. Back in the present, Renma asks Calcigo if he can even imagine the pain of seeing his land soaked in blood. His eyes burn with the memory of his kingdom falling while his son was away fighting for everyone else. Selen desperately tries to calm him down, reminding him that Calcigo of all people should understand this pain. This king just clutches a tattered banner saying he gets it, but he cannot just let this go. Getting right in Calcigo's face, he screams that the hero's carelessness is making his people suffer now. He points to the refugees, the ones who lost everything because of this whole disaster. Mist joins in, yelling at Calcigo, asking how he expects them to just forgive him for this. As tears stream down his face, Calcigo has to listen to Renma talk about his son Enma. And the weight of losing absolutely everything finally crashes down on him. Calcigo bows low, admitting to the king that he was naive and this is all his fault. With a pained expression, King Renma seems to accept the apology, though the tension is still thick. This other alliance members just look on, clearly uncomfortable with this whole public shaming. Our boy can only mutter another apology, completely broken by the weight of it all. Selen finally tells Calcigo to step outside for some air, as Mist watches with concern. He wanders off alone into a rocky clearing, but Mist is right there, following him from a distance. With his hair shadowing his eyes, Calcigo looks like he is about to just collapse right there. Mist finally closes the distance, calling out his name to get his attention. She nervously asks if he is okay, which is probably the worst possible question right now. Calcigo just grunts in response, not even bothering to look at her. He tells her to leave him alone, saying they need to get ready for the next fight. Her eyes go wide, absolutely not buying his "I am fine" routine for a single second, so she just grabs his hand, physically stopping him from running away from his feelings. Calcigo immediately snaps, telling her not to treat him like some kid, but Mist just says she did it because he looked like he was in so much pain. She tells him she knows he is strong, but that is not what this is about. Pleading with him, she warns that if he keeps holding it all in, he is eventually going to break. A sudden flashback shows her own past trauma, telling him not to end up like she once did. Her unexpected vulnerability completely catches Calcigo off guard, and for the first time since his breakdown, he actually cracks a small, tired smile. Calcigo finally breaks, admitting how painful it is to see Raimai and the others suffer. He is haunted by the memory of his friends, all dead and gone because of him, and worse than death, he had to suffer the ultimate humiliation of it all. This kid just screams that it is all his fault. If his body was not stolen, this would not be happening. Collapsing to his knees, he absolutely despises his own weakness in this moment. Mist just watches, her own expression filled with a deep, shared pain. As she looks up at the stars, she finally starts to speak her mind. Kneeling beside him, she insists that no matter what anyone says, he cannot keep blaming himself. And gripping his hand tighter, she promises she will absolutely never let go. Her words finally get through, and Calcigo just stares back in total, tear-filled shock. Now Mist is crying too, her face a mirror of his own pain and sorrow. This tears just stream down her face as she lets her own walls down completely. Under the starry sky, the two of them just share this moment of raw vulnerability. Calcigo finally voices the questions tormenting him. Why did not Diles just kill him? Why use his friends' bodies? All he wants to know is what the Demon Lord's ultimate goal even is. Meanwhile, we cut to some poor elf who is at his absolute limit, begging Lord Diles for a break. This guy is literally groveling at the foot of a throne, saying he cannot take any more. And sitting on that throne is Diles in Calcigo's body, just telling him to knock it off. This Demon Lord looks completely unbothered, maybe a little bored by all the drama, peak villain energy. His command center is revealed, crows everywhere as someone calls him the commander. This new military-looking guy questions the whole plan, basically asking if they are serious right now. Back outside, the stars are out, setting a much calmer mood for a moment. But Calcigo is still a complete wreck, trying to pull himself together after that breakdown. Our boy's complaining his head and eyes are killing him, so Mist is trying to play medic. Suddenly, a voice calls out his name, snapping him out of his misery. It is Selen, who apologizes for not stopping the king's verbal beatdown and says they need to talk urgently. Mist is still holding his hand, a quiet gesture of support that has not gone unnoticed. Selen immediately teases them, saying they look like siblings, which makes Calcigo yank his hand back like he has been burned. He then yells at her for letting go so suddenly in the dark, telling her to stop treating him like a child. From the side, Selen just gives this smug little smile, totally not buying the "I am not a kid" act for a second. With the awkward moment over, he gets them back on track, saying it is time to continue their little chat. Back inside, the whole alliance is assembled, looking grim and ready for the briefing. King Renma stands among them, the weight of his kingdom's fate etched on his face. Calcigo takes in the scene, still looking pretty raw from his emotional roller coaster. A voice confirms that everyone's present and the tension in the room is palpable. One of their members reports to Selen that their spies inside the Night Order have just sent word. Apparently, the Demon Lord's forces have already attacked the Knight's HQ and now they are under Olga's command. That news hits Calcigo hard. The Demon Lord is moving way faster than he thought. This commander dude lays it out. They have drafted a plan to contain the Demon Lord and mitigate the damage. And the time and place are set in 3 days at noon right in the plaza before the Knight's main base. This commander dude then drops the actual bombshell. The plan is to execute all 10,000 ogre people. A horned woman in the alliance reacts with pure, unadulterated horror. Even the bandaged knight Gilbert is completely floored by this genocidal order. This other ogre refugees just stare, their faces a mask of total disbelief. Calcigo, however, just gives a low, dangerous what? As his eyes narrow with absolute fury, that news makes his eye go wide, the sheer insanity of the plan finally hitting him full force. A heavy silence falls over the entire room as everyone tries to process this death sentence. One of the ogre men cannot believe it, stammering that this has to be some kind of sick joke. He starts to panic, realizing an order like this would mean the end of their entire tribe. Gilbert shouts that there is no way a massacre on that scale would ever be forgiven. This woman from the new crew explains that Olga is ramming the plan through without waiting for anyone's approval. This update just leaves Gilbert speechless and sweating, the situation getting worse by the second. To make things worse, the horned woman reveals 18 other captains heard the plan and not one of them objected. She completely breaks down, covering her mouth as tears stream down her face. The betrayal is too much. Another ogre warrior with a ponytail just clenches his jaw, simmering with a quiet, terrifying rage. His face contorts in pure hatred as he spits out a curse against all humans. Then he just explodes, screaming at them for treating the lives of his people so cheaply. This raw fury is met with the commander's completely cold, detached expression. Unfazed, the commander lays out the timeline. The execution will be over in 3 days, no matter what. This ponytail guy screams that it is insane and vows to stop their plan no matter the cost. Gilbert breaks down the numbers, saying it is impossible. They'd be walking right into a trap with 10,000 enemy soldiers waiting. Calcigo just buries his face in his hands, completely crushed by the sheer hopelessness of it all. To make it worse, their own alliance has less than 10 people in the area, and reinforcements are a no-go. This ponytail ogre is still fuming, screaming that this is a public execution, not a battle. But as Calcigo listens to the ranting, a sudden thought clicks into place. That is it. He looks over at the desperate ogres and realizes this whole massacre might actually be their one big chance. This horned woman is totally stunned by his sudden change from despair to whatever this is. Ponytail guy immediately turns on him, demanding to know what the hell he is talking about. Calcigo explains that Olga only keeps the ogres under control by separating them. Gathering them is a fatal mistake. Her eyes go wide as she finally understands the insane logic behind his idea. She realizes that if they can just get their power-dampening collars off, they could overwhelm the entire Night Order. With a fire lit in his eyes, Calcigo sees a clear path to fighting back. This other ogres look on, a flicker of hope returning as they listen to this kid's plan. He turns to them, saying this is their shot, but they have to do it together. This ponytail warrior is still skeptical, asking if Calcigo seriously thinks he can defeat the infamous 4 knights. We get a quick flash of one of those knights looking like an absolute demon, but Calcigo's expression is pure confidence as he declares he will take them down. He has already figured out how. This sudden bravado leaves the ogre warrior completely speechless, basically thinking, since when? Our boy admits there is still one more problem to solve, glancing down at his own injuries. So he goes straight to King Renma, the guy who just chewed him out, and says he has a favor to ask. King Renma just sweats, completely conflicted by whatever wild favor Calcigo just asked for. This sun rises on a new day, and with it, a new, completely unhinged plan. Out in the middle of nowhere, Calcigo gathers his tiny squad to figure out how they are gonna take down the 4 knights. With a confident smirk, our boy declares that from this moment on, things are about to change. His grand strategy involves learning Selen's teleportation magic, which already sounds like a terrible idea. On top of that, he wants to master Mist's wind magic too. And for good measure, he is also going to learn Gilbert's earth magic, because why not? Calcigo then drops the timeline. He is mastering all 3 magic types in just 3 days. This whole crew just stares back, their faces screaming, you want to do what now? Selen is the first to break the silence, basically asking if that is even remotely possible. He points out that Calcigo is not exactly a magic prodigy and teleportation is notoriously difficult. But Calcigo just clenches his fist, insisting with absolute certainty that he can do it. He declares that if his body is good enough for the Demon Lord, it is good enough for this. With a fire in his eyes, he demands they give him all their power, no questions asked. His new teachers can only stare, completely floored by this kid's sudden main character energy. Selen tries to lighten the mood by calling them a cute couple, but Gilbert just tells him to shut up and get on with it.